42 airports froze. $870 million in flight credit locked. All because one man thought she didn't belong in seat 1A. But 5 minutes earlier, he had no idea who he was pushing aside. Tell us where you're watching from, and if you've ever seen someone mistaken for powerless. Boarding now for Flight 872A to San Francisco. First-class passengers may proceed at Gate B42. Dr. Alana Brooks adjusted the strap of her handbag and walked forward, calm and deliberate. She was dressed simply. Navy blazer, black slacks, a cream blouse. Classic, minimal. She didn't need to shout wealth or power. She lived it. In one hand, she held a folded tablet. On her wrist, a band of glass glowed faintly beneath her sleeve. Smart glasses rested lightly on the bridge of her nose. As she neared the boarding agent, her boarding pass ready, a voice cut through the crowd like a blade. "Move aside, sweetheart. First class is for real executives." A hard shove to her shoulder caught her off guard. She stepped back, not stumbling, just enough to register the arrogance behind the action. A man, tall, white, probably in his late 50s, draped in a gray power suit that screamed overcompensation, stepped in front of her and snatched the boarding pass from her hand. "You'll be more comfortable back in economy," he added with a smug grin. The boarding agent's eyes widened, clearly unsure how to handle the situation. A few nearby passengers turned their heads. Some whispered. One man started to pull out his phone, hesitated, then tucked it away. Alana didn't say a word. She didn't need to. Inside the first-class cabin, the man made himself at home. Seat 1A. Reclined slightly, accepted the champagne the flight attendant reluctantly offered him, and gave her a patronizing wink. "Relax, she can sit in 5B, or the cargo hold." The flight attendant glanced over her shoulder at Alana, who stood silently at the front of the cabin, her posture straight, her expression unreadable. Passengers watched, waiting for a scene. There wasn't one. Alana stepped back and sat in seat 3C. She placed her tablet on the tray table, slid her glasses into position, and blinked once to activate the overlay. Clear Ethics. Internal console tier access. A status, live current flight 872A, DEN, SFOO. Initiate command, YN. She tapped Y. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then came the alerts. Across the Denver terminal and 41 other airports in the Clear Ethics network, boarding systems froze. Gates blinked red. Agents stared at their tablets, stunned. "What is going on?" "It says the airline's ethics clearance has been revoked." "Wait, across all hubs?" "All 7 airlines in the alliance." "Frozen." Everything suspended. In the cabin, the flight attendants huddled together, whispering urgently. Then one stepped forward. "Sir," she said to the man in 1A, "you'll need to step off the plane. There's been a serious violation." "Excuse me?" he scoffed. "You've got the wrong guy." "No, sir," she replied, nodding toward the door. "You disrespected the wrong woman." 2 uniformed airport security officers entered the cabin. "Sir, please collect your belongings. You're being removed for violating Federal Aviation Ethics Protocol. We've confirmed the violation through Clear Ethics." The man barked, "I'm a Diamond Elite. I spent $90,000 flying last year." The younger officer didn't flinch. "And she's the reason you were allowed to fly at all. Dr. Brooks didn't just buy a seat, sir. She built the system." The entire first-class cabin went silent. Passengers stared, jaws half open, phones now filming openly. Alana remained seated, calm, eyes steady, not a trace of smugness on her face, just resolve. As the man was escorted past her, he didn't dare meet her gaze. In the terminal, breaking news spread across screens. 42 U.S. airports freeze boarding after ethics protocol triggered. 870 millers in Alliance flight credit temporarily suspended. FAA calls emergency review of passenger conduct policy. Alana walked past reporters like wind through glass. One called out, "Dr. Brooks, did you just shut down 7 airlines because of a seat dispute?" She stopped, turned slightly and looked directly at him. No, I shut down the lie that entitlement looks like leadership. In a quiet lounge reserved for federal transportation advisors, Alana finally exhaled. A young girl approached the glass wall where Alana stood, watching the sunset settle over the runway. "Are you the lady from the news?" Alana turned, a slight smile playing on her lips. "Depends. What did the news say?" "They said a man got kicked off a plane and you stopped all the flights." She knelt to meet the girl's eyes. "No, sweetie, I just reminded them that respect isn't optional. It's operational." The girl beamed. Behind her, a woman mouthed, "Thank you." Back in the terminal, CEOs from 7 airlines sat in a glass-walled conference room, documents in hand. Each wore the same expression: rage, confusion, resignation. Before them lay a single folder, marked in silver. Passenger Ethics Accord, drafted, Dr. Alana Brooks. Status, previously rejected, now required. Meanwhile, Alana posted only one sentence to her professional feed. "They rejected the accord 2 years ago. This week, the sky agreed with me." For the next 2 hours, no one flew. Not out of Denver, not out of Chicago, Dallas, Atlanta, or JFK. The Sky Standards Council lockdown Tier 1 protocol rippled through the national network like a digital storm, grounding flights and freezing boarding lanes in 42 airports. TSA officers scrambled. Airline managers cursed under their breath. And across the country, passengers stared at screens that blinked one phrase in red: boarding temporarily suspended. Ethics review in progress. At the center of it all, Alana Brooks said nothing. She didn't need to. 8:34 a.m. Our FAA Emergency Briefing Room, Washington, D.C. The video call connected. 7 squares filled the screen. Each held the face of a CEO from the largest domestic airlines in the U.S. LegacyLink, Cloudwings, Aero North, Skystream, VistaJet, Titan Air, and Velocity One. Some looked irritated. Some looked exhausted. All looked worried. On the main screen, a single line flashed in bold. $870,000 in ESG-linked credit suspended trigger. Passenger ethics violation. Tier 1 lockdown. An FAA director cleared his throat. "Gentlemen and ladies, this is not a drill. Your boarding systems were halted by a federal authorized ethics strike. Until Sky Standards Council receives binding signatures on the Passenger Ethics Accord, the freeze will remain in place." The CEO of LegacyLink threw his pen across the room. "You're telling me a seat dispute triggered this chaos?" "No," the director said coolly. "Disrespect did. And it wasn't just any seat, or any passenger." They all knew the name by now. Dr. Alana Brooks, the woman they ignored 2 years ago. The systems architect they lowballed. The ethics reformer they laughed out of the room when she proposed mandatory protocol reviews tied to ESG funding. And now, she held the kill switch to their entire operating structure. Back in Denver, Private Ethics Suite, Concourse B. Alana sat in a chair overlooking the empty tarmac. It was almost too quiet. She scrolled through her messages. Over 400 new emails, 39 missed calls, 11 press requests from national outlets. But one message made her stop. Sender: J. Sinclair, FAA Legal Counsel. Subject: they're ready to sign. She didn't smile. Not yet. She just closed the message and looked out at the grounded planes. Across social media, the story spread like wildfire. Black woman CEO silently grounds airlines with one protocol trigger. 870 bombers frozen after executive passenger harassed in first class. Dr. Brooks, architect of the rejected Passenger Ethics Accord, fires back with silence. And the clip, only 16 seconds long, of Alana being shoved, of her not reacting, of her simply blinking and tapping her glasses. It had 8.7 million views in 2 hours. The public wasn't just watching, they were cheering. Meanwhile, The man from seat 1A. His name was Darren Shaw, former banking executive, frequent flyer, co-investor in a hedge fund connected to multiple airlines. He had gone from 1A to national disgrace in less than a morning. Reporters camped outside his home in Greenwich, Connecticut. His law firm dropped him from the advisory board. His own platinum travel privileges were suspended across all alliance carriers. In a shaky video statement, he muttered, "I didn't mean it like that. It was just a misunderstanding. I didn't know who she was." And the internet responded with a single, devastating truth. That's the point. Backroom negotiations, signed under pressure. By noon, the CEOs met in a virtual conference room moderated by FAA officials and Sky Standard's legal advisors. The mood was bitter. The terms were not negotiable. Each executive stared at the document. Passenger Ethics Accord, V2, Final Mandate. Authored by Dr. Alana Brooks. Mandatory Ethics Protocol for Crew and Passenger Conduct. Tiered violation system linked to boarding access. Immediate freeze of ESG credit if non-compliance occurs. Public display of airline ethics scores at all check-in points. Annual third-party review by Sky Standards Council. No one dared to argue this time. They signed. 12:26 p.m. Alana's Lounge. Press call live. A large screen projected a live Q&A session. Alana sat alone. Backdrop clean and gray. Sky Standard's logo subtly behind her. A journalist from Reuters asked, "Dr. Brooks, what do you say to those who claim this was an overreaction?" She leaned in, voice steady. If stopping a man from being humiliated over his accent is an overreaction, if refusing to let a child be slapped because she looks out of place is an overreaction, if defending your seat, your name, your right to exist in first class makes the system pause for 5 minutes, then maybe 5 minutes is exactly what the system needed. The room fell silent. A personal message from a little girl. That evening, Alana received a handwritten note slipped under her hotel door. No name, just the words in a child's handwriting. "I saw you on the news. I want to be like you one day. My teacher says I talk too quiet, but maybe being quiet is strong too." Underneath, a drawing of a plane and a girl in a suit. Alana folded the letter carefully and placed it inside her leather tablet case. For all the frozen accounts, grounded planes, and emergency board meetings, that letter was the real victory. Closing scene, over San Francisco. The next morning, boarding resumed, slowly, carefully. And in every participating airport, one change appeared, quiet but powerful. Next to every digital gate board, a new line. Ethics score, active. Monitored by clear ethics systems, and beneath that, respect is not optional, it's operational. Alana boarded a flight, seat 1A. No one questioned her this time. No one dared. But she wasn't smiling out of pride. She was thinking of the little girl, of all the ones watching now, and of one quiet truth. The next time someone thinks you don't belong in a seat, make sure you're the one who owns the runway. 3 days later, they were still talking about it. Not just in aviation, not just in finance, not just in boardrooms, everywhere. From morning shows to university lectures, from viral TikToks to White House briefings, the name Dr. Alana Brooks had become more than a headline. She had become a shift. Washington, D.C. Sky Standards Council headquarters, the marble floors echoed with brisk footsteps as the final stack of signed documents was delivered to the review panel. Each envelope bore a distinct airline seal. 7 in total, each representing a corporation that had once laughed at the idea of public ethics scoring. Not anymore. Alana stood in front of the frosted glass doors, alone, watching through the reflection. A younger council member approached her, visibly nervous. "They just finished verifying the signatures. It's official now." Alana didn't flinch. She just nodded. "Prepare the rollout timeline. The scores go live at midnight." "Yes, ma'am." He paused before leaving. "Dr. Brooks, the fact that they finally signed it, because of you." She cut in gently. They didn't sign because of me. They signed because the system gave them no more room to hide. 12:01 a.m. Nationwide rollout begins. At exactly midnight, gate monitors in 42 airports updated their interface. Passengers lining up for early morning flights noticed something new beside their gate number. Ethics score, live. Clear ethics rating, 83.4. Compliant last violation, 3 days ago. Public incident, Flight 872A. Resolution, passenger removed. Accord signed. It was subtle, but the message was unmistakable. The airlines were being watched. Meanwhile, a hidden reaction in a quiet penthouse in Manhattan. Joseph Caldridge, chairman of Titan Air, reviewed the new terms on his screen. He swirled his whiskey without taking a sip. She got everything she wanted, he muttered. His CFO, standing across the room, replied, "We could have stopped her 2 years ago, when she offered the accord the first time. We didn't just ignore it," Joseph said flatly. "We buried it." The CFO swallowed hard. "And now we're regulated by it." They both knew what it meant. A new age of accountability had begun. San Francisco International Airport, passenger lounge. Alana sat across from a group of first-time flyers, young black and brown professionals on their way to a conference in Chicago. They recognized her instantly. "You're her," one of the women whispered. "The lady from the plane." Alana smiled gently. "I'm one of many. There are hundreds like me building systems you'll never see." The youngest among them leaned forward. "Can I ask something? Were you scared? Like, when he pushed you and everyone just watched?" Alana thought for a moment. "No, I wasn't scared. I was disappointed that people still measure power by noise, by color, by assumption." A pause. "But I've spent my whole life building something louder than noise. Data." At the FAA, unexpected moves behind closed doors, FAA regulators began revisiting their own oversight policies. One file in particular landed on the desk of the deputy director. Titles U. Proposal. Passenger Ethics Compliance as Certification Standard for All Domestic Carriers. Authored by Dr. Alana Brooks. He tapped the folder once with his finger, then said to his assistant, "Get her on the phone. I think it's time she joined the advisory panel, permanently, online, a cultural moment." The clip had now reached 37 million views. Hashtags trended for days. Seat 1A, she owns the system. Wound the sky, an entire wave of content emerged. Reaction videos, parody reenactments, essays from DEI experts, pilots, flight attendants, black travelers sharing their own stories. One comment stood out among the sea. They expected her to raise her voice. She raised the bar instead. One final call back at her home in Arlington, Alana sat alone in her study. It was late. The world was quiet again. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She considered ignoring it, but something made her answer. "Dr. Brooks?" A man's voice, cautious, older. "This is Harold Jameson. I was on your flight, a few rows behind. I didn't say anything then. I regret that." Silence. "I want to apologize, not for him, but for me, for staying silent, for watching and pretending I didn't see what I saw." Alana closed her eyes for a moment, then said softly, "Then don't stay silent now." "I won't. I've already emailed my board. I'm implementing your scoring framework at every airport vendor we operate." He paused. "It's the least I can do." Closing scene. Sky above. Ground rewritten. The next time Alana flew, her boarding pass didn't need scanning. The gate agent just nodded and said, "Welcome back, Dr. Brooks." "Thank you." As the plane lifted off, clouds parted in soft pink light. She leaned back, eyes closed, finally allowing herself to exhale. Because for the first time, she wasn't fighting to belong in the sky. She was setting the standard for how everyone else would enter it. It always happens this way. A system changes, power shifts, and the people who used to sit comfortably at the top start plotting ways to take it back. New York, private boardroom, Titan Air HQ. "She's a liability," Joseph Coldridge said coldly. 7 men in tailored suits sat around a table made of Brazilian mahogany. The walls were soundproof. The discussion was not on record. "She cost us nearly $300 million in delays alone," another board member added. "And now we're stuck displaying a public score at every terminal like school children being graded." Joseph leaned forward, fingers tapping slowly on a folder labeled Internal Strategy Memo, Operation Air Reset. "We can't touch her publicly, but we can weaken her framework. If we discredit Clear Ethics, the FAA will panic and pull support." "How?" someone asked. "Simple," Joseph said. "We see 2 incidents that show her system failing to prevent discrimination. Then we push for an audit." "And if she fights back?" Joseph's smile was thin. "We don't attack the Queen. We shake the board. Day 1. The first hit." 2 days later, a passenger at Boston Logan uploaded a video. A black woman being escorted off a plane by 2 crew members for not complying with seat protocol. She's calm. They're not. And the video is brutal. The caption reads, "Clear Ethics System Fail. Black woman removed from flight despite having correct seat." Within an hour, it had 1.2 million views. Day 2. The Whisper campaign begins. Anonymous accounts begin flooding aviation forums. The ethics scores are being gamed. Passengers are being targeted more than protected. Clear Ethics is a surveillance tool in disguise. Meanwhile, news outlets tied to airline lobbyists start quoting aviation experts who question whether Clear Ethics is ethically biased. The attack was subtle, coordinated, effective. Der Brooks notices the shift. She saw it coming before the headlines. The surge in data anomalies, the sudden drop in incident self-reported cases, the delayed cooperation from airlines that had previously signed the accord willingly. This wasn't technical. It was strategic resistance. Washington, D.C., Senate Subcommittee Room. Alana sat across from 6 senators, 4 men, 2 women. 1 openly hostile, 2 politely indifferent, and 3 actually listening. "Dr. Brooks," Senator Hale began, "are you aware that 2 discrimination incidents occurred under Clear Ethics supervision this week?" "Yes," she replied calmly. "And I'm also aware that both incidents were flagged by the system before passengers began recording." "Then why didn't your system prevent the removals?" "Because the system doesn't act, it informs. And until enforcement matches accountability, a score is only a mirror." Some staffers scribbled notes. One senator shifted uncomfortably. "So, you're saying the problem isn't the data, it's the people?" "I'm saying Clear Ethics is doing its job. It's revealing what airlines are trying to hide." Silence. Then, a young aide from the back leaned forward and whispered something into Senator Hale's ear. His eyes flicked toward Alana. "We've just received confirmation that one of the incidents was staged." Alana didn't blink. "You're 3 days behind me. Back channel leak. The counterpunch." The next morning, a whistleblower file hits every major outlet. Internal memos from Titan Air discussing optical disruption strategies against Clear Ethics. Financial trails linking Joseph Coldridge to disinformation bots. Emails between lobbyists and media execs planning audit pressure. It was undeniable. The attack was a setup. And now the story turned. Social media explodes again. She didn't break the system. She forced it to show its cracks. They tried to fake the fall, but she'd already built the parachute. When powerful men feel small, they don't shrink, they sabotage. Clear Ethics, Trend, Airline Truth. She wrote the rules. FAA holds emergency ethics hearing. Alana walks into the chamber like she always does. Head high, voice low. Some people think ethics is about punishing the wrong, but the truth is, ethics only works when you build a system that survives the people trying to destroy it. That's what we've done. Clear Ethics doesn't exist to protect me. It exists to protect the next woman they try to silence. Applause. From passengers, from staffers, from new senators who remembered that flight. The one where a woman got pushed aside and rewrote federal policy by not raising her voice. Titan Air crumbles. Within 48 hours, Titan Air's ethics score drops to non-compliant. 6 airports suspend their boarding partnership. 3 credit funds freeze ESG-linked lending. FAA initiates a full ethics audit. Joseph Caldridge resigns quietly. No press release, no farewell tour. He disappears like a man who gambled on silence and lost to structure. Final scene. Alana and the intern. Back at Sky Standards HQ, a new intern walks into Alana's office. Nervous, young, brown skin, eyes wide. "I'm sorry to bother you, Dr. Brooks. I just wanted to say, I applied here because of what you did." Alana sets down her tablet. "And what do you think I did? You made the system fair." She pauses, then smiles. "No, I made it visible. The fairness, that's what you will keep building." As the camera pulls away. A new screen is being installed in every terminal. Below each airline logo, real-time ethics score, monitored by Clear Ethics. And underneath that, signed under the Passenger Ethics Accord, FAA mandated. It's not flashy, but it's permanent. And that's the legacy. It started with a question no one expected. And it didn't come from an airline CEO, a senator, or a Wall Street analyst. It came from a 24-year-old ethics officer from Sweden, barely 3 months into her role at the International Aviation Standards Council, IASC. If Clear Ethics is working in the US, why isn't it working everywhere else? The room fell quiet. Then another voice, this time from Kenya. And who decides how it works? Is it one company's tool? Or is it a system the world now needs? The conversation shifted in an instant. No longer about a single flight or one violation. Now it was about the global future of passenger dignity. All eyes turned to Dr. Alana Brooks. The IASEC summit in Geneva was a polished spectacle of global cooperation. Flags from 31 countries circled the room. The air buzzed with translation feeds and quiet protocol. At the center of it all, on a massive screen, Proposal: International Ethics Compliance via Clear Ethics Framework. Alana didn't sit at the main table. She stood at the perimeter, watching, listening. She hadn't volunteered for this. She had been summoned. When the ISC chair turned to her, his voice carried the weight of bureaucracy and hope. "Dr. Brooks, your system has redefined compliance across American aviation. But can a single private company determine the ethical standard for global flight?" She met his gaze without blinking. "That depends," she said, "on whether you want a system that works or one that just exists." There were quiet laughs. A few heads nodded. And then came the real conversations, behind closed doors. Over the next 48 hours, the negotiations moved fast. Canada and the EU wanted to license Clear Ethics as a public tool. Several US senators pushed back, concerned about foreign regulation of domestic infrastructure. Private airline coalitions pushed to water down the standards if global use became inevitable. Meanwhile, tech giants hovered around Alana like vultures, offering valuations that flirted with the billions. She turned them all down. This was never about monetizing justice. It's about standardizing it. Around the world, stories began to surface, each one echoing the reason the system mattered. In Paris, a Syrian refugee was denied boarding for suspicious documentation, despite having every paper verified. In Mumbai, a disabled veteran was removed from a flight after asking for assistance for the 3rd time. In Sao Paulo, a transgender woman was told her ID didn't match her appearance. Each clip went viral. Each sparked outrage. But now, they came with a hashtag attached to all of them. #NeedClearEthics. The system Alana built was no longer just something America needed. It was something people everywhere were asking for, demanding even. Back in her Geneva hotel, Alana stood alone in front of a blank whiteboard. She drew 2 columns in silence. ownership, impact. The left side meant control. The right meant reach. She couldn't have both. That night, a knock came at her door. Nadia El Fahmy, the UN Civil Aviation Ethics Envoy, greeted her with a warm, steady look. "We want you to draft the Global Passenger Ethics Charter," Nadia said. "But it has to be bigger than you. It must become law." Alana took a breath. "I didn't build this to keep it. I built it so no one else could take it without knowing what it costs." Nadia smiled. "Then you're the only one who can write it." 1 week later, at a press conference in Geneva, Alana stood behind a podium, flanked by representatives from 6 continents. Behind her, a screen lit up. The Brooks Protocol, adopted by 27 nations, mandated ethics scoring for all international carriers by 2030. Alana didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. "This isn't about one seat. This is about making sure everyone has a seat, without having to justify it." She paused, then looked directly into the cameras. "If a child watching this today ever finds themselves pushed aside, ignored, or quietly erased, I hope they know now. The system speaks for them." Back home in Arlington, Alana finally opened a pile of unopened letters. One caught her eye. Blue ink, handwritten. No return address. "You probably won't remember me. I was the gate agent in Denver. I froze that day. I didn't say a word. I've carried that silence ever since. I just wanted to say thank you for speaking through the silence I couldn't break." She set the letter down, closed her eyes for a long moment. Not out of sadness, but because she finally felt the weight lifting. Thousands of miles away, in Nairobi's international terminal, a little girl stood with her mother at Gate C9. Overhead, a sleek new monitor displayed live updates. Ethics score active. Certified under the Brooks Protocol. The girl tugged her mom's hand. "Mommy, what does that mean?" The mother smiled, brushing her daughter's curls. "It means no one gets to tell you where you don't belong." One country refused. Not quietly, not subtly, not with hesitation. They slammed the door shut. "We will not be governed by an American protocol," the Prime Minister of Aurelia declared during a televised press conference. "No foreign system will dictate how we board our citizens." The room applauded. His aviation minister stood behind him, nodding. They had made their choice, and in doing so, they ignited something much bigger than they expected. At first, the world didn't flinch. Aurelia wasn't a major hub. It had 7 international airports, mostly regional. Tourism, cargo, quiet skies. But the Prime Minister's speech was broadcast in 6 languages, and within hours, it was trending. Aurelia rejects Brooks Protocol. National sovereignty versus global ethics? Hashtag ethics or control. People watched. People argued. And then something happened that changed the tone completely. A video surfaced. A 10-year-old black boy, traveling with his white adoptive father, was denied boarding in Aurelia. The gate agent questioned whether the man was truly the guardian. When the father pushed back, the child was taken aside, alone. No explanation, no apology. The father filmed the moment. He uploaded it. Within hours, it was everywhere. "This wouldn't have happened if Brooks Protocol was in place," the caption read. The post exploded across platforms. And suddenly, the refusal wasn't just about sovereignty. It was about harm. Dr. Alana Brooks watched the clip in silence. She was in Singapore at the time, speaking with regional regulators. As the boy cried quietly in the corner of the frame, her own face stiffened. She knew what came next, not from the system, from the people who believed in it. Within 48 hours, 5 major booking platforms removed Aurelia's airports from their global search indexes. Several international carriers suspended code-share flights. By day 3, 4 countries pulled bilateral aviation agreements, citing passenger safety concerns. The momentum was no longer bureaucratic, it was personal. A line had been drawn, and Aurelia had stepped over it. Inside the office of the Prime Minister, the tone had changed. He paced, hands behind his back. They're freezing us out over one video? It's not one video, sir, the aviation advisor said. It's the optics. We denied the framework, and now there's proof of what that denial means. Reinstate the flights. Quietly. Offer to review the accord. They won't take that now. They want public alignment. They want me to kneel. No, sir. They want you to sign. Meanwhile, back in Arlington, Alana was being flooded with press requests. CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, NHK. She declined them all. She issued one statement, short and precise. Clear ethics was never designed to control nations. It was designed to protect people. Refusing it does not challenge me. It challenges the standard of dignity. The turning point came when a coalition of 15 global airports issued a unified directive. Effective immediately, all incoming carriers from non-certified ethics airports will be subject to manual screening, delayed clearance, and restricted lounge access. Translation: airlines landing from Borrelia would lose priority status at 15 of the world's largest hubs. And then the final blow. The International Aviation Consortium suspended Borrelia from its 2032 World Expo transit plan. Billions lost. Trust obliterated. All over one refusal to sign a protocol designed by a black woman who never once raised her voice. On day 6, Borrelia blinked. The Prime Minister issued a formal apology, not to Alana, but to passengers worldwide affected by recent misunderstandings. It wasn't enough, because by then, a new petition had gone viral. The Brooks Protocol must be a precondition for all international aviation licensing. Over 2.3 million signatures within 3 days. The people had spoken, and now governments followed. At the next IASC meeting, something unprecedented happened. A resolution passed unanimously. By 2032, no aircraft may operate international commercial routes unless certified under the Brooks Protocol or an approved compatible ethics framework. It was no longer a recommendation. It was global law. Alana stood outside the chamber, watching the votes tally in real time on a digital board. Green, 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 green. All of them. No abstentions, no pushback. She didn't cheer, she didn't cry. She simply said, "They've all boarded now." Later that night, a message appeared on her phone. Unknown number. "This is Amari, the boy from the video. My dad said you made them listen, so thank you. When I grow up, I want to fly the plane, not just sit in the seat." She stared at it for a long time, then replied, "You'll own the runway, Amari. Just promise me you'll land for others too." Back in Borrelia, at a now mostly empty terminal, the first updated monitor flickered on. Ethics score: inactive, non-compliant. Under review. A single traveler stared at it, then walked away, leaving the gate agent alone in the silence. Because sometimes the cost of refusing change is being left behind entirely. She had built the system. She had defended it. She had watched it grow from a protocol into a global standard. And now, they were asking her to let it go. The message came through encrypted line, direct from Geneva, marked "Private, Council Only" inside. An official request from the International Aviation Standards Council, IASC, and UN Global Transportation Committee. In the interest of neutrality and global governance, we propose that all intellectual property and operational control of Clear Ethics be transferred to an independent international ethics board. This transfer would make the Brooks Protocol a public asset, unaffiliated with any private or personal entity. At the bottom, we ask for your voluntary resignation as final authority. Alana sat in silence for a long time after reading it. She wasn't surprised, but the timing still stung. She had finally earned respect, global respect, after decades of being unseen, underestimated, and dismissed. And now they wanted to separate her from the very thing that had given her that power. Legacy, she whispered to herself, isn't ownership. It's what survives when ownership ends. The debate split the world in two. Some saw it as inevitable. You can't have one person controlling a global system. Others saw it as erasure in disguise. They're taking the work of a black woman and handing it to a committee. Social media was on fire. Experts debated on air. Think tanks published op-eds with competing headlines. It's time to globalize ethics. Don't whitewash the protocol. Legacy is not a threat. Clear ethics should remain hers. But Alana stayed quiet. For 6 days, she said nothing. Not to the press, not to the board, not even to her staff. On the 7th day, she walked into her office, dressed in all black. She stood at the edge of the conference table, where the global advisory team had gathered via secure stream. No preamble, no long speech. Just one question. If I step down, do you understand what you're inheriting? Silence. Then, a voice from Berlin answered, "We understand that you built a system, but we also know that systems must live beyond their creators. And if I refuse, then the world splits, the protocol becomes political, and the mission fractures." She closed her eyes, took a breath, then nodded once. "Then I have one condition. Name it. My name stays." They agreed. And 2 days later, it became official. Clear ethics would be governed by the newly formed Global Passenger Ethics Authority, GPEA, overseen by a multinational coalition of legal, aviation, and civil rights experts. The operational code would remain intact, the scoring system unchanged, and the protocol would retain its name. The Brooks Protocol. The world reacted fast. Some headlines praised her for stepping aside with grace. Others mourned the shift as power handed over too soon. But most focused on what mattered. The system was now law. Every country that had signed would remain bound by it, and those who hadn't yet now had to decide. Alana didn't hold a press conference. She posted one sentence on her personal feed. "It's never been about staying in control. It's about ensuring no one can undo the standard once I step away." That night she finally slept. For the first time in weeks. No meetings, no speeches, no decisions left to make. But sleep didn't last long, because at 2:46 a.m., her phone rang. It was Soraya Lin, former head of Asia-Pacific Aviation Council, now interim chair of GPEA. "We need you in Geneva, one last time." "What now?" Alana asked, half awake. "Someone's trying to rewrite the charter's language." "Already?" "They want to remove the automatic score display from all consumer apps. They say it's too aggressive." Alana sat up. "Send me the draft." "You're not obligated to intervene." "I'm not intervening," she said, grabbing her bag. "I'm protecting what we agreed on." In Geneva, the conference room was colder than usual. The proposed amendment lay on the screen. Remove real-time display from public boarding areas. Make data accessible by request only. Alana stood at the back, arms crossed, coat still on. They hadn't expected her to show up. One delegate from South Africa turned around, surprised. "Dr. Brooks, I thought you'd retired." "I retired from control, not from accountability." She stepped to the front without invitation, pointed at the proposal. "You don't get to dim the screen just because the truth makes people uncomfortable. But some carriers feel exposed." "Good. That means the system is working. Transparency must be balanced. With what? Reputation? Profit?" She locked eyes with the speaker. The Brooks Protocol was built to show what's happening before it becomes a headline. If you hide the score, you invite abuse. Silence. Then, a slow clap started from the back of the room. Others followed. The amendment was pulled. The screen stayed lit. On the flight home, Alana sat by the window, watching clouds roll beneath the wing. A young black flight attendant approached quietly. "Excuse me, ma'am. I just wanted to say thank you." Alana looked up. "For what?" "For making it harder for people like me to get pushed out, or pushed down." She smiled. "Keep rising. Just make sure you pull others up when you do." At the airport arrival gate, a new banner hung overhead. "All passengers protected under the Brooks Protocol." No fine print, no caveats. Just the truth in capital letters. They didn't try to silence her. They tried to replace her. And this time, it wasn't about seats, systems, or scoreboards. It was about erasure. The slow, quiet kind that creeps in behind applause and diplomacy. The kind that shows up in edits, in policy language, in meeting minutes. It started with a new proposal, presented not in Geneva or Washington, but in Tokyo at the Global Tech Ethics Summit. An innocuous title, Unified Passenger Dignity Framework, AI-led implementation draft, E1.1. But tucked on page 43 was a sentence that changed everything. All historical frameworks, including but not limited to the Brooks Protocol, shall be absorbed into the Unified Ethics Standard. Naming references to prior authorship may be deprecated in public documentation for neutrality purposes. Deprecated, that word. Not deleted, not denied. Just faded, watered down, quietly removed from the record. Like her name was a version number they could roll back. Alana read the document 3 times. She didn't speak, didn't text anyone, didn't even call Soraya or the GPEA. She just sat there, staring at the line. Maybe deprecated. That's how legacy dies. Back at Sky Standards HQ, her old staff called it the Merge Memo. Some thought it was just sloppy legal phrasing. Others saw it for what it was, a backdoor overwrite. She'd seen it before, in academia, in patent law, in tech. It always started the same way. Praise the system, erase the creator. She could have called a press conference, could have gone viral again. But Alana wasn't interested in spectacle. This wasn't about being seen. It was about being remembered properly. So she did what she always did. She built something no one expected. It was called Skyledger, an immutable, blockchain-based archive of every single version, revision, committee vote, airline compliance change, ethics incident, and passenger feedback submitted under the Brooks Protocol, dating back to Flight 872A. It was open source, auditable, undeniable, and it had one rule. You can revise a system, but you can't rewrite the truth. The moment Skyledger went live, 17 advocacy groups across 6 continents downloaded the archive and mirrored it. By morning, The Guardian ran the headline, "The Protocol That Can't Be Erased." But that wasn't the end of it, because the Merge Memo authors pushed back. This isn't an attack, it's a standardization effort. We're building a global tool. Personal branding can't be part of infrastructure. Legacy should never stand in the way of progress. Alana didn't reply directly. Instead, she spoke at the University of Nairobi, in front of a full auditorium. Progress without memory is just movement. And movement without accountability is how we repeat the very harms we claimed we outgrew. Don't call it ego when a black woman defends her name. Call it history correction, because no one flinches when the names on the building stay the same for generations, unless the name belongs to someone like me. The room stood up. Every student, every professor, no one sat down. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, GPEA was split. Half the board thought aligning with the new Unified Ethics Standard was inevitable. The other half thought it was betrayal in slow motion. One delegate said quietly, "If they take her name, what's next? They take the framework, then they take the data. Then they tell us the system was always theirs." Then came the unexpected turn. A lawsuit, filed not by Alana, but by a coalition of ethics officers from 11 countries, citing breach of international naming integrity agreements. They used Skyledger as their key evidence. The lead statement read, "The Brooks Protocol is not a brand. It's a recorded precedent. Erasing that name is not neutrality, it's appropriation." News broke worldwide. This time, the story wasn't about injustice. It was about intellectual colonialism. CNBC. Global ethics fight erupts over attempt to remove Brooks Protocol name from Unified Framework. The Atlantic. Who gets to write the rules and who gets erased? On the night before the World Aviation Ethics plenary vote, Alana was invited to speak, unofficially. They didn't give her a formal podium. They didn't even offer a broadcast. But she stood there anyway, in a room full of silent diplomats. And she said, "I don't need to be in the footnotes. I need you to understand the difference between leadership and laundering. You don't get to use my system and then decide I'm too big to credit. You can adopt the framework, but if you remove the name, then what you're building isn't ethics. It's theft in a suit and tie. The next day, the vote was taken. 98-7. The Brooks Protocol name would remain permanently attached to the ethical foundation of all certified international aviation systems. Non-negotiable, immutable, enshrined. The room applauded, but Alana didn't smile. Not immediately. She waited for the cameras to turn off. Then she turned to the delegate from Singapore, a young woman who had stayed silent during the vote. "Why didn't you speak yesterday?" Alana asked gently. "I was told I didn't have seniority to weigh in." Alana handed her a card. "You do now. Join the working group. Be the voice no one lets in until you force them to." Back in Arlington, Alana returned to her usual rhythm. No podiums, no interviews. She made tea, reviewed protocols, answered emails from students in Colombia, Poland, Nigeria, and once a week, she updated Sky Ledger herself. Not because she had to, but because memory requires maintenance. One afternoon, a child knocked on her front door. She couldn't have been older than 11. Brown skin, bright eyes, clipboard in hand. "Are you Miss Brooks?" "Depends who's asking. I'm doing a school report. I picked you because you changed flying." "That's flattering. What did your teacher say?" "She said history belongs to people who keep the receipts." Alana laughed, then invited her inside. As the girl stepped through the door, her eyes lit up at the shelves, lined not with awards or plaques, but binders of policy drafts, community surveys, raw data logs. Proof. "Is that Sky Ledger?" the girl asked. "The offline backup, yes. Can I take a picture for my project?" "Only if you promise to tell your class it didn't build itself." "Deal." Outside, a plane flew overhead. Its tail bore a decal, certified under the Brooks Protocol. Nothing flashy, just 6 simple words. But they meant something now, not because they belonged to one woman, but because the world almost lost them, and she made sure it never would. They called it a humanitarian crisis, but to Alana, it felt like a reckoning. The Republic of Decorah, one of the few countries that had refused to sign the Brooks Protocol, was suddenly in the middle of a devastating flood. Monsoon-level rains had submerged 2 of its largest cities. Airports were underwater, power grids offline, thousands stranded in remote areas. The international community responded quickly. Rescue flights, aid convoys, emergency field hospitals. But there was a problem. Decorah's aviation infrastructure hadn't adopted clear ethics, and that meant no carrier certified under the Brooks Protocol could legally land without an emergency override authorization. For the first time since the protocol became global law, the ethics system had to decide what mattered more, compliance or compassion. Alana sat at a long oak table inside GPEA headquarters in Geneva. Around her, screens showed real-time updates from Decorah. Satellite footage, weather patterns, projected death tolls. A soft red banner pulsed across the top of the room. "Request pending. Emergency override activation. Decorah airspace." No one spoke at first. Then Soraya Lin, now co-chair of GPEA, broke the silence. "They want access to the system, temporarily. Just long enough to allow landings." "And after?" someone asked. "They say they'll discuss permanent compliance after the crisis." A few delegates scoffed. One muttered, "Too convenient." Alana leaned forward. "Let me see their formal request." The document was plain, cold, bureaucratic, but one sentence stood out. "We acknowledge that our refusal to adopt clear ethics has created barriers to emergency aid. We ask that, for the sake of human life, the protocol be lifted temporarily." They weren't asking to change. They were asking for a loophole. The council split fast. Some said the protocol was never meant to block life-saving efforts. Others argued that Decorah had knowingly rejected the system and now wanted its benefits without accountability. Alana stayed quiet through most of the debate, until someone asked, bluntly, "You designed the override system. What would you do? She looked at the screen showing children on rooftops, waving shirts at passing drones. I didn't build clear ethics to punish. I built it to protect. But protection means structure, even in crisis. So is that a no? She paused. It's a condition. The council leaned in. Override granted only if Decorah activates full compliance within 72 hours. Every carrier, every airport, every staff system. If they don't, override expires, and they're shut out permanently. Some delegates looked uneasy. That's aggressive. No, Alana said. It's structure. And if they refuse again, then they chose exclusion, not us. The proposal passed by slim majority. That night, Decorah accepted the terms. Within hours, technicians flew in from 5 countries to begin emergency integration of clear ethics into Decorah's flight systems. And then something unprecedented happened. At 3:14 a.m. Geneva time, Alana's terminal lit up with a code she hadn't seen since she first created the system. Emergency Ethics Override, Level 1. She tapped it open. Below the blinking header was a live ethics dashboard for a Decoran aircraft. Flight DA-292, approaching restricted airspace. Crew had flagged non-cooperation from local ground control. Protocols weren't being followed. Alana picked up the secure line. This is Dr. Brooks. Who's in command of DA-292? A man's voice crackled through. Captain J. Herrera. We're carrying medical aid. We're being told to hold pattern for VIP clearance. Alana stiffened. You were flagged for override because of a humanitarian exception. VIP traffic is not authorized. They're threatening to deny us landing. Patch me through. Moments later, a Decoran ground controller came on. This is military airspace. We are rerouting you to a holding zone. You are not authorized to block certified emergency aid. Alana replied calmly. Per the override protocol, you're bound by international ethics enforcement. We didn't sign that protocol. No, she said. But your government did. Yesterday. That means I can pull your aviation clearance globally in 6 minutes. Silence, then. Proceed to primary runway. Clearance granted. DA-292 landed safely. And that moment became the most watched airspace livestream in GPEA's history. Because the world saw something they hadn't seen before. Not just the enforcement of ethics, but ethics under fire, still holding. In the following days, more planes landed. Supplies poured in. And quietly, without ceremony, Decorah completed full adoption of clear ethics. It wasn't a headline, but it was history. 3 weeks later, Alana returned to Decorah, this time by invitation. She was met by the Minister of Infrastructure, a woman named Leora. You were right, Leora said. We treated ethics as an option, but disaster doesn't care about politics. Neither does dignity, Alana replied. They toured the rebuilt control tower at South Decorah International. A new terminal monitor displayed real-time boarding data. Underneath, a simple line of text scrolled by in 3 languages. Certified under the Brooks Protocol, activated during crisis, retained by choice. That night, Alana visited a local hospital. The children from the rooftop video had been airlifted there. One of them, Amal, age 9, wore a paper badge made from a snack wrapper. It said, Clear Ethics Hero, in crayon. She showed it proudly when Alana entered. They said you made the planes come. No, Alana said gently. You did. You made the world pay attention. But it was scary. It always is. But the scariest thing, she added, is when no one is held accountable. You helped change that. Outside, the air was humid, the sky low with post-storm haze. But above the runway, a new beacon had been installed. It wasn't bright, but it pulsed softly in green and gold. Next to it, a plaque, in honor of the override that saved lives, and the woman who built the system that didn't blink when it mattered. Alana Brooks had built a legacy on precision, systems, protocols, structure. But now, 10 months after the launch of Clear Ethics, everything she built was under siege. Not from some outside threat, from within. It started with a leak, an anonymous memo, a vague internal audit. Then, boom. A viral post claiming Clear Ethics had been manipulated to sabotage Aerolinks Group, one of the largest airline conglomerates in the world. They weren't just accusing the system of failure, they were accusing her. #Brooksgate trended globally in 18 hours. Media outlets replayed old interviews, cropped photos of Alana with rival CEOs, and headlines screamed, "Did the ethics queen break her own code?" Aerolinks CEO Donovan Cale didn't hold back. "Clear Ethics has been compromised. We demand full transparency and an international investigation." That single quote was replayed over 70 million times in 3 days. Inside her office, Alana sat at her desk, jaw tight but expression calm. She didn't panic. She didn't go on camera. She didn't tweet. She just studied the data, every score, every override, every audit trail, and found nothing but truth. But truth wasn't enough. The World Aviation Commission called for an emergency hearing. In front of cameras, regulators, and a skeptical public, Alana stood tall. "I built Clear Ethics to protect transparency, not manipulate it." Someone fired back. "Your cousin is on the board of a competitor airline. Shouldn't that disqualify you?" Alana didn't blink. "My cousin also runs a literacy nonprofit. Should I be barred from reading?" The room chuckled, but the knives stayed sharp. Then came the real hit. 5 countries announced they were suspending Clear Ethics integration. 3 major insurers froze all policies tied to the system's ethics scoring. Just like that, a decade of credibility unraveled in less than a week. Alana didn't show it, but inside, it hurt. Not because she feared losing her seat, because she feared losing the mission. She went dark, no interviews, no defense, until the call came. A private jet collided mid-air with a Frankfurt-bound commercial flight. 17 people died. 3 were children. Investigators found that a regional Aerolinks director had manually overridden clearance protocols based on data Clear Ethics had flagged as a critical risk. But since the system had been suspended, there had been no warning, no alert, no score, nothing. The public turned fast. Suddenly, everyone wanted Alana back. TV anchors apologized on air. Hashtags flipped to #WeNeedBrooks and #BringBackClearEthics. The 5 countries that had paused integration reactivated it within 72 hours. But Alana didn't hold a press conference. She flew to the crash site alone. No media. Just a white flower in hand, laid quietly among charred debris and silence. That's when she made her decision. 2 days later, she faced the world. "I will step down as the executive authority over Clear Ethics." Reporters gasped. She raised her hand. "Not because I'm guilty, but because Clear Ethics must be bigger than me." One shouted, "But you built it. Won't it collapse without you?" Alana looked straight into the lens. "That's the problem. It's not a system if it can't survive its creator." She announced the transition to a rotating council. No single leader, no permanent gatekeeper. The system would remain, but it would belong to the world, not to her. 6 months passed. No sightings, no quotes, no Alana Brooks in headlines, until she appeared one morning at LaGuardia Airport, in line, with everyone else. No assistant, no first class, just a regular passenger, carry-on in hand, quiet strength in her eyes. Someone recognized her. "Is that Dr. Brooks?" A child whispered to his mom. "She's the one who made flying fair." Alana smiled softly, took her seat, business class, center row. Not too high, not too low, exactly where she belonged. "Are you sure this is the right move?" Diane asked quietly, brushing the steam off her tea in the sunlit corner of Alana's apartment. Alana stood by the window, arms crossed, her eyes scanning the city below. She'd been in semi-retreat since her resignation, but not inactive. Never inactive. "I'm sure," Alana replied. "Clear Ethics is stable now, but the system we disrupted still hasn't changed. If anything, the power structure just buried itself deeper." Diane raised a brow. "You're going after the Sky Standards Council next, aren't you?" Alana didn't answer directly. Instead, she turned. There's a hearing next week. FAA, DoD, and 3 international regulators are convening for the first Ethics Interoperability Summit. Diane leaned back slowly. And they invited you? They tried to avoid me, Alana said with a wry smile. But there's a clause in the Sky Ethics Act that mandates public representation. The public nominated me. 2 days later, Alana sat quietly in the marble halls of the Capitol Ethics Center, her badge marked Citizen Delegate instead of Founder. There was symbolism in that. She was no longer the authority, but she was still the conscience. Delegates shuffled in, CEOs from 5 airline alliances, military logistics directors, ethics compliance auditors, political watchdogs, and, on the far side, the 3 towering members of the Sky Standards Council, Graham Levison, Marta Inoue, and the elusive Dr. Stanton Wells, who had once tried to prevent Clear Ethics from ever launching. Alana noted their eyes as they passed her. Polite, cold, calculated, like she was a ghost that refused to vanish. The session opened with polite speeches, but then, a surprise. Dr. Alana Brooks has been granted time to address the chamber, representing public ethics coalitions and passenger advocacy networks. A wave of quiet unease rolled across the room. Alana stood slowly. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't wave papers or point fingers. She simply revealed. 1 year ago, we watched the industry treat ethics as a checkbox. As long as no one died, airlines got a pass. But people didn't have to die to be harmed. They were humiliated, dismissed, removed, profiled, silently erased. Murmurs, shifting chairs. Clear Ethics was born to track that erasure, but if it stays isolated, outside your systems, it will always be painted as a threat. She turned to face the Sky Standards Council directly. I'm proposing full integration, seamless interoperability between Clear Ethics and Sky Standards. Wells sat upright. You want us to give up control? I want you to earn public trust. And trust isn't earned through firewalls. It's earned through visibility. For 5 seconds, no one spoke. Then Wells chuckled. A low, deliberate, condescending chuckle. And what if we decline? Alana's eyes didn't waver. Then the public will know what you really protect, and I'll make sure of it. What followed was the longest closed-door negotiation in Sky Standards history. Hours turned to days. Lawyers debated liability. Tech teams battled over system architecture. Governments panicked over jurisdiction. But while they fought, the public rallied. Under the hashtag #MergeForEthics, over 12 million digital signatures were submitted demanding Clear Ethics become a mandatory layer in airline compliance. Even children sent in handwritten notes. One read, I don't care about points or upgrades. I just want my mom to be treated like a person. On the 5th night, Alana sat in a side room, eyes heavy. She hadn't slept. A quiet knock. It was Marta Inoue. Wells is caving, Marta said quietly. But he'll want a concession. Such as? He wants you to never work inside any governing agency again. Alana raised a brow. That's the price? Marta looked away. He's afraid of you. Alana smiled faintly. I'm not here to run the system. I'm here to protect it. Day 6. The doors opened. A final agreement was reached. Clear Ethics would be formally integrated into the Sky Standards ecosystem. Its evaluations would be a prerequisite for international flight clearance, ethics insurance underwriting, and passenger safety audits. But with one condition. Alana Brooks would serve only as an external ethics advisor. No internal position. No veto power. She accepted it without hesitation, because the mission was bigger than her name. The next month, airports in 12 countries adopted the new system. Flight crew members were issued real-time wearable feedback monitors. Passenger complaints were cross-validated with Clear Ethics logs. Bias incidents that once took weeks to investigate now triggered automatic holds within minutes. The industry called it Ethics in Motion. The FAA called it the Brooks-Wells Framework. But most passengers just called it peace of mind. And still, Alana didn't take a podium. She didn't post victory photos. She didn't return to the seat of power. She took a long, quiet break. Until one unexpected morning, she received an encrypted message from someone she hadn't spoken to in over a year. Elijah Monroe, a retired FAA executive and whistleblower from the pre-clear ethics days. His message was simple. They're building a backdoor into the framework. Independent operators, private sector, foreign funding. You need to see this. Alana stared at the screen. Her pulse didn't rise. She just nodded. Because in her gut, she always knew. Winning the battle for ethics was never a finish line. It was a loop, and she was ready to walk it again. Alana Brooks never liked waiting, especially not in the back seat of a tinted SUV, parked across from a gray private terminal at JFK, where the most secretive deals in aviation took place. But today wasn't about diplomacy. Today was about stopping a silent war. She clutched the flash drive Elijah had given her. Encrypted logs, payment trails, protocol tampering across 2 independent flight AI systems, proof that the new ethics in motion system, her system, was being quietly bypassed by a black market consortium of private aviation firms. It wasn't just about corruption. It was about invisible immunity. Airlines buying their way around ethics scores. Executives forging passenger behavior data to avoid triggers. A silent undoing of everything she'd fought for. The meeting inside was off record. Alana would be facing 12 men, board members of Virion Air, Athera Jet, and Stratus Elevate. Together, they controlled over $6.4 billion in shadow aviation partnerships, enough to force flight policy changes behind the scenes without ever touching a government form. Diane had begged her not to go alone, but Alana smiled and said what she always said. If I don't show up in the room, someone else will rewrite the rules. The metal doors closed behind her. She walked into the room like she owned it, even though she wasn't invited. The silence was thick. The chair at the end of the table turned. Victor Malin, chairman of Virion Air, leaned back, smirking. You weren't on the schedule, Dr. Brooks. She calmly slid the flash drive across the glass table. No, but I brought the truth. You'll want to see it. He didn't move. Neither did the others. So she pressed play. One by one, the screens lit up. Flight logs with ethics override codes traced to offshore servers. Passenger behavior classifications manually changed from aggression to non-escalated to maintain luxury route clearance. One log even showed a 10-year-old autistic boy labeled as disruptive to justify removing him and suppressing the penalty flag that would have halted the airline's bonuses. Then came the voice logs. A man on tape, cold and clear. Clear ethics is a luxury we can't afford. We'll pay off the airports. Just keep the optics clean. By the end, no one in the room looked smug. Victor stood slowly, face taut. You have no jurisdiction here. Alana leaned forward, steady. I don't need jurisdiction. I have exposure. She pulled out a slim remote. 3 copies of these files are ready to go live to every major aviation ethics board, 10 investigative journalists, and 3 Senate subcommittees. One man across the table, Robert Dre, Athera's CEO, exhaled hard. This would collapse 3 alliances overnight. Alana's voice dropped low. Then maybe they deserve to fall. Silence. Then Victor asked, What do you want? She didn't blink. A full audit of your ethics AI systems, co-supervised by independent regulators and clear ethics engineers. A retroactive apology to every flagged passenger removed under false data, and a formal adoption of the Zahara Protocol. They all looked stunned. The what? Someone whispered. Alana finally smiled. It's the new framework, finalized this morning. Real-time oversight, biometric accountability, and full transparency scores visible to the public. No more hiding behind software, no more false flags, no more secret passengers controlling public skies. Victor hesitated. You're asking us to surrender autonomy. No, Alana said. I'm asking you to surrender your monopoly on silence. By noon the next day, the announcement hit every aviation wire. 12 airlines sign on to Zahara Protocol after ethics breach threatens global aviation trust. Alana didn't appear on screen. The credit was given to the independent regulators and whistleblower groups. Her name was barely mentioned. But those who knew, knew. A week later, she sat in a quiet corner at Newark Airport, sipping tea and scrolling through updated compliance dashboards. Green scores, new audit layers, passenger dignity violations cut by 87% in 48 hours. A little girl in a puffy yellow jacket walked past, holding her mom's hand. Alana overheard her whisper, "Mommy, do you think people can really make rules more fair?" Her mother smiled. "Some people don't just write rules, they protect them." Alana Brooks had never needed a title to make change. She just needed a mission. And now, with the Zahara Protocol in full swing, she had something more powerful than authority. Momentum. If you were Alana, would you have gone into that room alone? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read every one. Comment, "No more silence." If you believe accountability should never be optional, and if this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who still believes quiet power can shake the world. Telltales, where justice writes back.